The minority spokesperson is saying it appears this government, the ministry you belong to, is wrongly attributing the credits for the IBAN and the IBAN oil fields. What do you say to that?
Good evening, Sanda. Good evening to your cherished listeners, and thank you for the opportunity. It's rather unfortunate that the Member of Parliament and the former Deputy Energy Minister, Honorable Collins, seeks to mislead the public. In the first place, the statement that the ministry put out was just to inform the people of Ghana that about the declaration of commerciality. Even though this project is a project that commenced years ago under His Excellency the President John Mahama, nobody even indicated that. It was basically to inform the people of Ghana or update the people of Ghana on what has happened. The first point that has to be made is that under the previous administration, the upstream environment became very hostile. And some of these conversations, we are careful to have them in the media because of the reputation of the country. Ghana, as a country that is a darling of investors, suffered heavy blow during the period. And you would recall that even to the extent that there was a directive issued by the government at the time, the NDP government, for the unitization, which became an issue between ENI and Springfield for a long time. That issue was resolved immediately this administration took charge. Let me just focus on this very one that he's talking about. These conversations, you start them with a petroleum agreement. The petroleum agreement or the license was in April 2016. The effective date or the initial exploration period, which commenced April 14, 2016, was supposed to be for 3 years, from April 14, 2016 to April 13, 2019. Subsequently, if you look at the updates that were provided, that happened. Then eventually also had other activities take over within the period. And then finally we are where we are. So it is never accurate that it's their project. If they themselves will admit, they will admit that they did not did not go to Parliament for any ratification for this project. They didn't sign the petroleum agreement. The petroleum agreement for this project was signed by Honorable Amabua as far back as 2016 when he was the petroleum minister for petroleum. So it's not accurate that these discoveries were made under their government. That is totally false.
Okay, so over the past 8 years, there was clearly a lull in an NDC government. Did the NPP government contribute anything? If you were to put it in percentage terms, what percentage would you say the NPP government over the past 8 years contributed vis-a-vis versus what the NDC has contributed under Mills Mahama and now Mahama?
What their contribution will be is to frustrate the processes when it comes to upstream, when it comes to our exploration drive. That would be. I told you, Standard, that a lot of majors left Ghana within the period. I mean, you are a journalist of repute. You can do your own research and put out. A lot of companies in the upstream left Ghana within the period. Maybe we don't want to put these things out, like I said, because of the nature of the sector. That is why we are careful. But
so there was not a single contribution over the past 8 years, you say?
That's what I'm saying. In this project, the project is there. You look at what was done in the update I was giving in 2019. Once the petroleum agreement has been signed, it comes down to the joint ventures, the partners to proceed with it. The joint ventures in this case will be ENI Ghana, which ENI is the operator. You have Vitor, you have Woodfield, you have GMPC, and then Esploco. They, as a government, played absolutely no role. What it will be is that once the petroleum agreement has been signed, the parties go ahead to proceed with their obligations, and from time to time, what needs to be done, they do it.
But even if there was a role of inaction, that could also be an action, because if they had acted by, for instance, terminating the contract, reviewing the contract, and deciding to put it on ice, that would have torpedoed or upended the project, don't you think?
And like I said earlier, that the only role they would have played in this is to forestall the project. That's the role they played, because they made the environment hostile. What do you think E&I would have done within the period where government was forcing utilization on them together with Springfield? You think they would have proceeded as they have to proceed? So these are challenges. And Sunday, if you go back to Parliament, go back to the records, they opposed all these petroleum agreements. Before this particular petroleum agreement, there was an OCTD one, that's for the Sankofa one, to the extent that they even petitioned the Italian Prime Minister at the time over the project and accused the administration at the time of inflating the cost. They had 8 years. They didn't hear them investigate or even prosecute anybody over that. So they didn't contribute anything to this project. What has happened is that the current administration has engaged the stakeholders, has engaged the upstream players. The number of them that have served notice to come back to operate in Ghana because of the nature of the government welcoming when it comes to investors. So I don't want us to go into the political realm because it's a new administration. You are trying to create the enabling environment for the upstream players to come back. Our reserves have been dwindling over the period under them. And this government is taking steps to ensure that the sector is back on its feet. Those who cause the mess should not be the ones who are antagonizing those who are trying to put the sector back.
Thank you for speaking to us. Let's leave it here. Thank you so much. That's Richmond Roxon. He speaks for the Ministry of Energy. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3.